Welcome, curious souls, to another journey on our podcast. Today, we're delving into the intriguing realms of subtle energies that swirl all around us. Often, we don't notice them, but they are deeply and profoundly affecting our lives. Today, we're going to explore the idea and the concept of energy vampires and psychic protections for ourselves, obviously. This is a topic that, although it might sound like a plot of a mystical novel, is deeply rooted in our daily interactions and well-being. And this idea, this concept, this belief goes across cultures and generations. Now, energy vampires, unlike the creatures of the night, don't drain your blood, but they do drain your vital energy. And these energy vampires usually leave you feeling exhausted, anxious, or just drained. And I know we all have our experiences with somebody that we're just like, I feel exhausted every time I talk to them, and you can't figure out why, because they're not doing anything obvious. Now, these people could literally be anyone, a coworker, a friend, even a family member, and oftentimes they don't even know that they're siphoning your emotional resilience or your spiritual strength. But recognizing these interactions is the first step in reclaiming your power and your vibrance. Don't worry. For us, we illuminate the shadows cast by these energy vampires. We are also going to discover an arsenal of psychic protections, things that you can do to protect yourself, not only from energy vampires, but from actual negative energy that's being actively directed towards us. Techniques and practices that range from crystals to visualizations, from grounding exercise to energy cleansing rituals. All these are going to be designed to safeguard your chi, your inner light. So today's episode is a journey of empowerment, a guide to recognizing the unforeseen forces at play, and I'm going to be equipping you with the knowledge to protect your energy. But first, let's do an intro. Hello, my heart-centered souls, and welcome to Spilling the Tea Leaves. This is your sacred space, and I'm your host, Michelle. I'm honored to be a guide in your journey and grateful you're a part of mine. Here, we dive deep into the empowering realm of crystals, energy healing, spiritual growth, and everything in between without the gatekeeping. So sit back, relax, let's reawaken our spirit, one cosmic tea leaf at a time. As you go on this spiritual journey and you begin to explore your energy, you will automatically start vibrating at a different level. Now, this is not to say that we are going to feed into a spiritual ego, because spiritual egos are very, very real. It's the idea of, oh, I'm so much better than them because I am vibrating high. Or it's the idea that you feel superior to somebody because you are a different part of your journey. We don't do that here. I always suggest to check yourself before you wreck yourself. We are a community. We are all on different paths, on different journeys. And I always encourage folks to support each other, right? Acknowledge that I am just a small piece of this larger whole. You are having different experiences from me. One does not make the other better. Okay? But within all that, there are what we refer to as energy vampires. I can tell you a story. When I lived in Barbados, I worked with a lady. We are going to call her Patricia. And Patricia was an older lady. we were hired for the same position, and the way it worked in that office was whoever got to the office first, so whoever arrived to the position first, would be able to claim. It was a desk inside an office, like sealed off from everybody else, or a desk outside of the office. I don't know why they set it up like that, but it kind of did look like one is above the other. One was like an assistant to the other, but you were able to switch back and forth, depending on if somebody was scheduled that day or not. It's an ego thing, I thought, most of the time. Anyway, whenever I would see Patricia, she was I would feel so drained, because she would always come in with a bad story, or something horrible that happened, or something she didn't like, or somebody that she didn't like and she had an interaction with, and she would come in and then she would start complaining that people would seek me out for help versus her. People didn't like talking to her because she did not have good energy. She was sort of like a Debbie Downer, and every day I dreaded seeing her, because I would feel, even if we didn't talk, I would feel absolutely emotionally drained from her. On top of that, she complained about me a lot to our boss. And one day we were having a meeting, and he had his screen up on this massive board, so we were able to see his computer screen on this board, because he was talking about, I forgot what, but he was sharing his screen. Anyways, up pops up a meeting scheduled, meeting with Patricia 11:30 about Michelle. I'm Michelle. And everybody saw it, and everybody looks at me, then looks at her, then looks at him, and then back at me. And I calmly, closed my notebook, because we were done with our meeting, and I walked away. Later, I did email him and said, hey, I'm not going to pretend that I didn't see the message pop up. Please, if there's anything that you would like to discuss with me, let me know. And he said he'd come up to my office. Yeah, let's talk about stuff. And the whole time she was complaining about me, saying that people seek me out over her, that she feels she feels less than me, that she feels that she is not important. And again, nothing that I directly did to her, but he sort of put me in this weird space where he's like, listen, maybe he's like, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know, maybe try to direct people towards her, be less helpful towards people, maybe guide folks over so she feels that she's doing something. And I said, listen, I will do my best, but I'm not going to do what you're telling me is not to do my job, because I'm holding somebody's hand. Long story short, I ended up getting pregnant with my daughter, and we had a meeting with him. We sit down, and that meeting, I was going to ask that me and him have a private 10 minutes after the meeting together, but we sit down, and Patricia says, so you're not going to tell him? And I'm like, I'm sorry. She goes, she's pregnant. Okay, she's pregnant. And she starts giggling. My jaw was on the floor. I was shocked. I could not say anything, because this lady not only announced my pregnancy to my boss, right? But completely, she had no idea what I was going to tell him. I was still in my first trimester. I didn't say anything. I let her talk the rest of the meeting, only interjecting when I had to. And I said, she leaves, because I had already said that I wanted the 15 minutes with him. He closes the door. He looks at me and he says, what the F? And I said, this is what I deal with. She is, not only I can't even share some happy news, she has to share it for me. Like, she is just soul sucking even stories or even a good news that I want to tell you. Why did she do it? aside from the fact that I'm convinced she was just a bitter person, now I see that she did not have she could not tap into her own light or her own life force energy, so she hitchhiked off other people's energies. So what is an energy vampire? In the simplest terms, imagine you've had a long, enjoyable day and you're feeling pretty good. You're in your groove. You're grounded. You are walking on sunshine. Then you hang out with that friend, colleague, or even that family member for a while. And then by the time you leave them, you are inexplicably exhausted, emotionally drained, and maybe even a little bit moody. It's like someone let out the air out of your tires. Now, this person didn't do anything obvious. They didn't ask you for money or help you move furniture or anything else. But instead, without realizing it, they drained your energy. That's what an energy vampire does. They are people whose interaction with you somehow leaves you feeling absolutely depleted. Often energy vampires, they're not mean or malicious or not doing something on purpose, but sometimes it might be going through a hard time and leaning too heavily on you for your support. Or they have this like naturally overwhelming personality, and recognizing these dynamics is really important when it comes to maintaining your own energy and emotional health. In more esoteric terms or mystical understanding of the world is that everything is energy. This includes our thoughts, our feelings, our interactions with others. And within this framework, an energy vampire is somebody who, a lot of times unconsciously, but sometimes consciously, taps in and siphons off the life force or chi or prana from another individual, from us. By the way, if you hear sort of barking, that's my dog who's laying next to me. I think he's having a dream, and I'm pretty sure he is dreaming. So this isn't a sort of a physical taking, but an energetic one. These individuals, they often operate at a lower vibrational frequency, driven by unmet emotional or psychic needs, which compels them to quote unquote feed on the vibrant energy of those around them to compensate for their own energetic deficiencies. You are the vitamin to an energy vampire. They're like, I recognize this light and I have an imbalance and I'm going to take some from you. Now, energy vampires might be individuals who regularly engage in negative behaviors. These are the people that are constantly complaining, they're manipulating, they love to guilt trip, or they are even flattery and excessive attention seeking. So they're constantly looking for that validation. And sometimes they even validate you like, oh my God, you have everything going for you. Oh my God, you make everything look so good. But there's something about the way they say it that it doesn't even sound complimentary to you. It's almost as you have to feel some sort of guilt for having this vibrancy. Now, these interactions disrupt the energetic balance, leaving the donor feeling drained, weakened, and just sometimes feeling off-center, like you just feel icky. Engaging with an energy vampire can lead to that depletion of one's aura or protective energy field. And it's really important for us to understand the psychic protection techniques to maintain our energetic integrity and vibrational frequency. One of the most Googled terms is psychic protection. There's a reason for that. Sometimes when we're out in public, we feel over it, especially introverts. We are I tired a lot of the times because we are picking up energy from other people. And a few times it's because energy is being removed from us. If you are unsure of what an energy vampire may look like, feel like, full disclosure, I am a true crime watcher, reader, listener. So not to the extent of where I start obsessing over a crime. I've seen that a lot with people who listen to like true crime podcasts. I actually have had to adjust my true crime podcast listening because sometimes the community there don't understand that it's actually a tragedy. I'm super interested in the mindset of the criminal. So currently there is a case going on with a lady named Sarah Boone, and she is accused of killing her boyfriend by zipping him up in a suitcase. And I use the term accused loosely because she recorded herself doing it. So this was back in 2020 and it's 2024 and her case still hasn't gone to trial. But through the availability of everything on the internet, you can see from the moment she called 911 to the moment that the police arrived to the interviews, the subsequent interviews with her ex-husband, with her landlord, with her neighbors. I mean, just everything is available online. And the way this woman is described, the way she even interacts with the police, and even just watching her online, you can see how she not only drained the life of the victim, but drained the life of her ex-husband. She wasn't working. She was an alcoholic. And now she has gone through 8 court-appointed attorneys, and they've all quit on her. They said they irreconcilable differences. They can't work with her. She's insulting to them. And not only that, but she writes the court 58-page letters. So she writes the judge 58-page letters. And even the letters are just soul draining, so emotionally demanding. And you see her and you're just like, this lady is a lot. It's a lot. So she, to me, is an example of what an energy vampire can look like. And her husband, when you hear her ex-husband speak, he says, I try to help her a lot. I give her a lot of support. I give her extra money. She forgets to pick up my son at school, but I forgive her. I call her to make sure that she's on time. I call her to make sure that she didn't forget. Sometimes she forgets. Sometimes she'll call me to pick him up. So you can see how she slowly drains the life out of everybody around her. Her neighbors complained about her. So if you're interested in seeing somebody online that I believe is an energy vampire, Google Sarah Boone. If you go on YouTube, I will warn you that the video of her ex-boyfriend in the suitcase and him begging is on there. I avoid it. I don't watch it. It turned my stomach. So if you happen to see it, fair warning. Unfortunately, it is available online. Okay, so you think you have run into an energy vampire, or you have a suspicion that this person is not the best for your emotional well-being. What are you looking for exactly? One of the key indicators that you are dealing with an energy vampire is that you are constantly fatigued after the interactions with them. And maybe it's not all the time, but it's a lot of the time. You constantly feel tired or drained or depleted after spending time with them, despite that you didn't even do anything physical. You just were in their space and you are exhausted. You have an emotional depletion. You experience emotional exhaustion, and you may feel like you're even on an emotional roller coaster with this person around them. You experience highs when they're happy, but crashing when they turn negative, and everything. There's no middle ground. It's always high or low. You may feel used when you're with this person. You often get the sense that the relationship is very one-sided. You feel more like you're a therapist or a caregiver than an equal participant in a mutual exchange. So if you have that friend that only calls you when there's problems, or only calls you when there's bad news, or only calls you when they need help, and you're like, I'm drained. Like, I don't want to pick up the call because I know they're going to need something. Negativity, they are always focusing on their problems, they're constantly complaining, or they're having personal issues, and they rarely talk about any positive experiences or solutions or even gratitude. They are not thankful for anything. They are just constantly complaining about what is going wrong in their life. A lot of the times, energy vampires also lack boundaries. They do not respect your boundaries. They may call at inappropriate times. They overstay their welcome. They demand attention and energy without any consideration for your needs. This is something that the Sarah Boone has, where she does not give a flying fajita if you have other clients, which is why she's gone through 8 attorneys. She wants you to be on call all the time. Doesn't matter if you place healthy boundaries. This person wants your attention whenever they think is appropriate. Even if you set the boundaries, they're going to violate the boundaries every single time. Sometimes we even have physical symptoms. Apart from the emotional or energy depletion, we have physical symptoms like our headaches, our heads hurt, we got headaches, stomach aches, or we just generally feel uneasy. For me, the headaches are a big one. When I'm with somebody and my head starts kicking off, it's just, I need to remove myself. Sometimes it's a little more subtle, but we start having this like generalized anxiety or this feeling of dread at the idea of meeting them or receiving a call from them or a message from them. All of a sudden we're like, oh my God, please, I hope they don't call me today. Oh my God, I hope I don't see them today. They can guilt trip you. They often manipulate you through guilt, making it really difficult for you to say no to their demands. Or when you try to give space or try to distance yourself, they make you feel guilty. Like, hey, you never call me anymore. Or, you know what, you owe me. Remember 5 years ago, I let you borrow that pencil? Can you take me to the airport? Yeah, my flight's at 2 a.m, but you owe me. And you can't even pull yourself away because they are going to make you feel guilty. And then you end up feeling guilty. They are attention seeking. Energy vampires crave attention and validation. They are often dominating conversations, making everything about them, or behaving dramatically to ensure that the spotlight remains on their needs and their problems. So if you have a problem, their problem is bigger, and we're going to talk about theirs. You're not that important. They are going to be the center of attention all the time. They leave you feeling less confident. They're really good at diminishing your self-esteem. So after a while, after regular interactions, they leave you feeling like you start questioning your worth. As energy vampires, they often project their own insecurities or criticisms to those around them. Or they'll do it in a really sly way, like, wow, I really wish I can have your hair. Your hair is so pretty. My hair sucks. My hair is so ugly. My hair is so mousy. And you're like, whoa, And then you start validating them. No, your hair is great. It's lovely. And there's that, then that's the emotional exchange, right? Because now you're trying to validate them and they're just sucking all those compliments out of you. You also might feel like you're starting to isolate yourself from others and reducing your social circles as a way to avoid the exhausting interactions with them. Like you are so tired, you don't want to deal with them anymore, that you start going inward. And what happens when you start going inward? If you want to do that, of course, absolutely fine. But you're diminishing your own light. Your light, when you are in a different energy level, when you are feeling who you are, when you're connecting to the universe, that's a gift, not only to you, but to others. And you're taking that away. They're taking that away from the world, right? So that isolation is very, very, it has a cascading effect. Now, we talked about energy vampires, but there is another form that can affect us in very, very real ways. And the general term for them are psychic attacks. Now, psychic attacks refers to the phenomena where negative energy is directed towards you or someone intentionally or unintentionally. And this results in a variety of physical, emotional, or energetic consequences. Now, it's different than energy vampires because these attacks not only could come from people, but they could also come from certain environments or even non-physical entities. Now, as I discuss psychic attacks, I want you to go in with an open mind. And some of you may not believe in all of these, and others it's a part of their culture. It's a part of, we have in Latin communities something called mal de ojo. And we wear the evil eye to protect us, or the hand of Fatima, or also refer to the hand of God. And I know a lot of cultures across the world has this idea of the evil eye. And those are known as psychic attacks. Psychic attacks is just a general terms. Understanding these forms, these attacks, can help you in recognizing and protecting you from their effects. Some of these psychic attacks come in thought forms. These are negative thoughts directed towards someone consciously or subconsciously, like jealousy, anger, resentment, or ill-wishing. And these can manifest energetically and impact the recipient. Thought forms can cling to the person's aura or energetic field, causing disruption and discomfort. So that friend that is sort of kind of really extra jealous of you and really focuses that negative energy towards you, if you are not protected, if you are not cleansing, can have real effects on your person. There's emotional poisoning, similar to thought, but more intense. This involves a projection of strong negative emotions towards an individual. It's like being on the receiving end of a concentrated dose of someone's anger, hatred, envy, which can also create emotional turmoil and energetic imbalance. Psychic courting. If you've been around this podcast long enough, you know what I am about to say. Cutting cords is important. Muy importante. Cords, they are energetic connections between individuals. They usually form through intense emotional or spiritual interactions, but there's a misconception that it has to be two ways. That you have an emotional connection as well as them, and that forms this cord. But no. If you're somebody like me, for example, I have a podcast. I'm pretty open about showing my face online. I record these all the time. I do lives on Instagram. Make sure you follow me. Remember, love. I am very active within the community, but I don't see a lot of you guys. I know I've made friends and I've grown this community, but there are a few that I don't. And these are connections that people create with me that I am not aware of. And these psychic attacks can occur when these cords or these conduits, they become conduits for draining energy or sending harmful vibrations from one person to another, often without the sender even being consciously aware. The kids have a word for it, and it's called a hater. And that's a real thing. It's a very real thing. You can be out in public and maybe you are wearing an amazing outfit and you feel good, you look great. And then there's this bitter person who's just like, oh, she thinks she's all that. That is a cord. That is somebody who connected with you through a negative emotion and they are draining your energy without them being aware of it, without you being aware of it, but it does have real effects on your person. Now, there's also the idea of curses or spells. In various traditions, there are practices that does involve the casting of cursing or hexes or spells intending to harm someone. These can be seen as hyper-focused intentions or rituals designed to direct negative energy towards an individual, disrupting their life or well-being. Growing up Hispanic, and specifically growing up in Miami, there are in every corner a botanica. There is you can find a curandero, you can find a healer, which is a healer, you can find a santero, you could find pretty much any shaman or any person through walks of life. And they are readily available for hexes and curses. And the fear within the community, for those who believed, was that they need protection from hexes of their enemies. Now, how often do really people go and buy hexes or do hexes or curses for people? Probably not that often, because hiring somebody to do that is very, very expensive. But the fear was there. My grandmother used to have my grandmother's Jehovah's Witness, and she always had a fear that somebody was doing work, un trabajo. And my father, who had a very horrible reputation for dating less than reputable women after he divorced my mother, and they would leave these items at my grandmother's house enough for a fear to be instilled in her. But because she's Jehovah's Witness, she would say, no, God is protecting me. God loves me. This cannot affect me. But the fear was still there. One time she found an egg wrapped in pantyhose in the fridge. I still to this day don't know. And then I guess the other side of the pantyhose was wrapped with an egg wrap was thrown over her rooftop. We found out it was obviously my father's girlfriend at the time, but it was very, very real for that, and very real within the Hispanic and Latino community, especially the Afro-Caribbean community. Now, as I mentioned earlier, energy vampires are a form of psychic attack. They can unwillingly perform psychic attacks by draining the life force from their victims through constant negativity, emotional demands, or manipulation, leaving you feeling depleted and weak. Now, this is where we are getting into different beliefs in psychic attacks. One is entity attachment. In some beliefs, non-physical entities like spirits can attach themselves to individuals, draining their energy or influencing them in negative ways. This form of psychic attack is often described as spiritual or esoteric contacts. There are stories where people believe that a ghost has attached to them where they won't leave them alone. If they move, the ghost follows them. There are, within the Catholic Church, there's beliefs of demonic possessions. There are also beliefs that those who have vices, drug addiction, alcoholism, those are spiritual attacks or spirits that are attaching to the person. There is a reason why alcohol is often referred to as spirits, attaching to the person, draining their life force, and watching this person wither away in order to reinforce the spirit, that spirit or that entity. Now, this is obviously up to the person. This is up to your belief system. If this fits within your belief system, then that is something that you can categorize under psychic attacks. There's others that believe environmental stress, locations that are imbued with negative energy. Well, I know a lot of us are familiar with locations that are imbued with positive energy. Sedona, Arizona is a place that a lot of people believe has a special energy. Stonehenge is another one. I'm actually going there in a couple of weeks. I already went there once. It's going to sound terrible. I did not feel a thing. There was no, I don't know if it was because it was too commercialized. I wasn't paying attention, but I did not feel what I thought I was going to feel. Anyways, so locations that are positive also have their counterparts that are negative. So things due to past events, negative people that live there or people that have passed or other reasons can also launch a sort of psychic attack or energetic attack affecting the individual who are sensitive to the energies that is surrounding them. Technological transmission, this is a pretty new one. In the modern age, negative energy is believed can also be sent through digital means. So harassing, messaging, cyberbullying, or even negative intentions sent through the virtual space can impact your negative field and your emotional state. Online bullying is a real thing, so it does have a negative effect. Okay. Now that I told you how you can detect it, what you can feel, the types of psychic stress, psychic attacks, energy vampires, now let's empower you to protect yourself against these vampires. Every week, we dive into topics that uplift, challenge, and nourish your soul. And the best part, you can join this voyage of discovery right now by subscribing to this podcast, Spilling the Tea Leaves. But our community isn't just confined to audio. We've got a treasure trove of content that's waiting for you on our YouTube channel as well. By subscribing on your favorite podcast platform and following us on YouTube, you're not just supporting the show, you're helping us reach other amazing individuals like you through the magic of algorithms. Your support keeps the wisdom flowing and our community glowing. Spilling the Tea Leaves is really more than a podcast. It's a movement of compassionate souls on a quest for deeper understanding. And I'm so happy that you are alongside with me. Thank you so much for being an essential part of this journey. Keep radiating love. I know I scared you enough. Totally fine. I just want to make sure that you have the information and know how you can protect yourself. So my favorite measure against protecting against psychic attacks or energy vampires is crystals. I love crystals. I'm a Taurus. I'm a Taurus sun with a Taurus moon and Scorpio rising, which means I'm pretty grounded and pretty chill until I'm not. But crystals are pretty easy and it's very passive for most people to protect themselves and to kind of push that energy out back towards the other person. Now, a lot of times people ask, well, what do I do with the crystal? You can hold the crystal You can put it in your pocket. You can have it in your hand. I love crystal jewelry. I have a couple pieces on my website that I've created that are Reiki charged. And they have very specific intentions in mind. If you want to take a look at it, it's at rememberlovehealing.com. Or when I work, I keep certain crystals on my desk. And a lot of these times I switch out the crystals, but the one that stays on my desk, well, there's two. One is smoky quartz. And smoky quartz is, to me, hands down, the best crystal for these intentions. Smoky quartz is super grounding. So you are tethering yourself to this earthly plane. Smoky quartz provides almost like a bubble or a shield of protection for the wearer. And it transmutes almost, keyword is almost, unlimited amounts of negative energy. So as you're standing there and these attacks are coming your way, it is absorbed by smoky quartz and turned into positive energy or just neutral energy. It's going to grab it so it doesn't affect you. So number one, hands down, always tell people to wear it, is smoky quartz. The next one is golden sheen obsidian. Obsidian is a volcanic rock, but golden sheen does also activate your solar plexus, and the obsidian is going to ground you as well and protect you from the psychic attacks. Black tourmaline, very grounding, also offers protection. Black tourmaline, a lot of people are really sensitive to it. So if you find yourself sensitive to black tourmaline, and when I say sensitive, it causes sort of insomnia or lack of sleep if you wear it too long, or if it's in your vicinity when you're sleeping, you could always pair it with rose quartz. So it's going to subdue those side effects while still giving you the full effects of protection and grounding. Amethyst is a great one. Super popular, available everywhere. It's going to open up your intuition and that inner voice and it doesn't offer grounding, but it does offer protection against psychic attacks, along with labradorite. Labradorite is another one of my favorite stones. Again, you can wear it as jewelry. You can hold it in your hand. You can have it in your pocket, or you can have a piece in your work desk if it's in a place where it's an office setting. I put the question out there on my threads, that what do they use to protect against vampire and psychic attacks? And somebody mentioned selenite. Now, I wouldn't imagine selenite as a cleansing tool or psychic protection, but they say that it works for them. So go for it and try it. It's worth a shot, right? Grounding exercises or practicing grounding exercises is another great way to not only discharge the negative energy that somebody has bestowed upon you, but it's a great way to connect with your own energies and recharge with positive ones. So grounding is spending time in nature, walking barefoot on the grass, hugging a tree, sitting on the ground. I love to sit on the ground and visualize roots growing from my feet into the earth, and it's anchoring me, and I'm drawing up the earth's energy while stabilizing my own. If you are in a pinch, protective visualization is great, especially if you're caught off guard and it's just a person walking up to you and just unloading. You can visualize a bubble or a shield of white light or pink light. I like the pink light because it is protective, and it gives me that loving vibrational energy while also providing the other person with that other vibrational energy. And I don't know why it works, but it's almost like they're turned off by it, where they're just like, and they leave. So imagining this light around you acts like a barrier against these negative energies. And intended for the shield to only allow positive energy to enter and interact with your own energy field. I was taught a trick a few years ago about putting mirrors around me. So reflecting that negativity back to its source, sort of safeguarding you from harm. Well, I was looking at my TikTok this morning. There was a video of somebody putting a person's name in a compact mirror. So they went the extra step and actually just said, I don't want anything with this person. They're violating my boundaries. It's not for me. So they put the person's name in a compact mirror and closed it. And I was like, wow, yeah, they're just reflecting their own energy back to them. But somebody posted, may you be blessed with the same kindness and energy you bestow to others tenfold. I was like, oh, yes, that absolutely, that could work. Emotional and energetic hygiene. So regularly meditating to maintain yourself clear, balanced state of mind. Meditation can enhance your own awareness of your energy, and it's going to help you differentiate between your own energy and others' energy. If you are one of my students, you heard me say this before. Being familiar with your energy, your emotions, your aura, your vibrational frequency, knowing who you are, it's going to make it so much easier for you to figure out what is not yours and rejecting that. I have been a people pleaser for years. And I struggled with figuring out what your emotion is versus my emotion. And a lot of us label it, oh, I'm an empath. No, you just don't have healthy boundaries. Of course, I can feel other people's energies, but I'm not claiming it as my own. And this is going to trigger people. I know. I absolutely know. But being an empath, it's almost a permission for people to emotionally dump on you. And you accept it. You accepting it. So practicing emotional hygienes by acknowledging and processing your own emotions, by acknowledging your own energy, it's going to prevent the accumulation of emotional debris of other people. And this emotional debris weakens your own energetic boundaries. You have to set boundaries. Number one recommendation. Number one. Set your boundaries. And when I say set your boundaries, it is be clear with your boundaries. Communicate your boundaries and have consequences when those boundaries are violated. Be assertive about the behavior that you accept and what you don't. Learning to say no is crucial. Withdraw your attention from drama and negativity and redirect your energy and focus to activities and relationships that uplift you. Of course, sometimes people have issues and they lean on us, and yes, we will be there and helpful because at our core, we are kind and we are forgiving and we offer grace. And yes, we do that. But you have to realize that there comes a point when it is the emotional burden is on you. And you have to shift if you are putting in 90% into that relationship, into that connection. Set your boundaries. Cord cutting is my favorite too. So when you have that psychic connection, that psychic attack, and you suspect there's a cord attachment. Now, to be clear, sometimes we do have emotion. Of course, we have cords with like your immediate family. I have an emotional cord with my daughter, my husband. We have friends that we have these emotional connections to. And yes, those cords are fine because it's reciprocal. It's a loving relationship. It's something that uplifts us. It's something that we accept. But these negative cord attachments, think ex-boyfriend, think ex-girlfriend, think ex-friend, ex-partner, ex-business co-worker. You have to cut those cords. Sometimes it needs more than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cord cuttings. Visualize the cord between you and the other person. Then using an imagined knife, or my favorite are my imagined scissors that I do with my hands, sever the cord. The cord is at your soul, usually at your solar plexus. That's where we get that connection from. I don't know if you ever notice sometimes when you are really upset and you're talking to somebody and the first thing you do is you cross your arms right at that center space, that solar plexus. It's because we're protecting our energy. We are trying to sever that cord. We're trying not to give in too much to that other person. So cut the cord. Some say you seal both ends with light. Do what works for you. It's the intention. Affirm your intention to release unhealthy connections and say, I like to say, I am cutting cords. I am releasing this energy, severing what no longer serves me, and recalling back my power. And I'm recalling back my energy. Energy shielding techniques, like I mentioned, using stones, crystals, obsidian to absorb those attacks. Invoking the spiritual protection by calling on your spiritual guides, angels, or protective entities according to your belief system. And something that we don't do enough is cleansing our space. I have holy wood on my altar, which is right next to me. I do it every day. I fire cleanse my office. I fire cleanse my desk. I do it over my head, over my throat, over all my chakras. The back of the neck, I find that I have a lot of energy that collects at the back of my neck and the soles of my feet. And I cleanse that space and I ask that it be replaced with positivity, with love and abundance. You can do sound vibration from bells, singing bowls, chants. I know there's a lot of YouTube videos that have chants. I had a dream about Gregorian chants playing, and for some reason that's stuck with me recently, so I sometimes play it in my office. And this is going to break up that stagnant or negative energy. We do a cleanse within the community, within the Hispanic community. I say everybody should do an egg cleanse at least once a week. I do it on my daughter. I just pass it over my head, again, the back of my neck, my throat, my extremities, and then I crack the egg open in a cup of water. Sometimes you could see the negative attachment when it's like cloudy or bubbly. If you go online and look up egg cleanse meanings, you can see the different types of formations that could form, and it's almost like an egg reading where you can see what you have removed from your energetic space. Sometimes you need 2 or 3 eggs to really get it out. And that's usually after the exposure, but I like to do it weekly because, again, you never know. If you feel like you've already been exposed, you can, again, do all these techniques as well. You can add Epsom salt baths, which includes a bath with Epsom salts to help clear the negative energies and promote a physical and energetic detox. After cutting cords, you can ask to release and refill the space, releasing any negative energy that doesn't serve you and asking it to be filled with positive energy. You can visualize a warm golden light filling any holes or black holes or any voids, putting in nurturing energy, and then engage in activities that bring you joy, that make you happy. Do stuff that makes you happy. You gotta cleanse away and wash away that yuck. In short, I feel like I've been a pretty decent friend. I always answer when she calls out of the blue, and I am loving and patient, though I feel like most of our conversations center around her issues and plans. She's really kind and generous person and does do a lot to make her friends feel loved and supported. But I feel like with her, more than any other friend I've ever had, I'm always being called upon to go out of my way to do things I don't necessarily want to be doing. The problem is, it's never enough, which is why I'm wondering about the energetic vampirism. I don't feel particularly drained after spending time with her, but I do feel scattered and like I can't focus on things I want to focus on.
The other day, she had a dance performance, and a few days before, she had sent a group text out to our coven of 5, expressing how much she hoped we could make it as, quote, none of her friends ever come to see her perform, and that's why she never has videos of herself performing. The venue was 30 minutes away, 1 hour round trip, and the performance started at 9 p.m. That's pretty late for me, and I really didn't feel like doing all that driving so late at night or being in a crowded place. Just not my thing. Even so, I would have gone with one of the other girls, but she got COVID. When I told my friend why I didn't make it, she said she understood. But now she is mad at us because none of us went. She says she feels unsupported by us and that she is always showing up for us, but we don't show up for her. For the record, when I asked her for airport rides, she hasn't always been available to give them. And when I practically begged her to cat sit for me once, she declined on the basis that it was January, a new year, and she needed to be in her own space to do some intention setting. Anyway, am I a bad friend, or is this friend unusually needy? I honestly don't know, because I do feel like I could stand to be more generous in general, but I also feel like no matter what I do for this friend, it will never be enough. Okay, so tell me what you think. Do you think her friend is an energy vampire? Do you think that she's just a really crappy friend? Have you had any experience with energy vampires, or you think they're an energy vampire or psychic attacks? Or if you have a whole other tip and technique on dealing with these psychic attacks, tell me. I want to hear. I want to learn. I want to see what other people do. So if you're watching this or listening to this on YouTube, you can always leave a comment, or you can email me at spillingthetealeaves@gmail.com. Or if you're more of a Instagram person, you can also send me a DM at Spilling the Tea Leaves Podcast, or Remember Love, which is my original business. Spilling the Tea Leaves was a baby born from that business, but I still do it. I love it. It's crystal healing and all that stuff, which, by the way, I just uploaded a bunch of digital journals, so you can download some journals. You can get to know your chakras, get to know your own energy, your energy centers. There's a manifestation journal, and there's tons more coming up. So I am uploading them slowly, so check it out. Or if you want to make sure you don't miss it, and I usually give a lot of them for free, you can join the newsletter over at rememberlovehealing.com, and I'll just send you some free ones in your email, because I love free stuff. I love free stuff, and I love helping people kind of discover who they are, their path, their journey, and explore and play and experiment and all that stuff. But thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for being a part of this community. If you ever have any questions, any suggestions on another podcast episode that you have to know, you can email me at spillingthetealeaves@gmail.com or spillingthetealeaves.com, and you can leave a comment, or there's a little box for suggestions. Leave a suggestion. I can't wait to hear it. Okay. Love and light, and I hope that whatever you do today and tomorrow is for your highest good. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.